So I'm gonna get this kicked off. Let you know that we are recording this. This is our Open Line Friday. We've been doing this for a little while now, for a few months. And what's great about this is it gives you a chance to not only learn about ePlan, but also the personalities within ePlan. We have some great people that we work with, not only in the States, but around the world, which is, somebody that we'll talk a lot with today. We want you to be able to ask questions too. It's not just us talking the entire time. If you have a question, you want to leave it in the chat, that's great. If you have a question, you want to raise your hand, then you can ask it aloud. We'd love that too. Participation is encouraged with this. That being said, let's go ahead and introduce our experts that are with us today. Simon Ebert is with us. He's our consultant process digitalization, or would you say you're a manager of that?
No, I'm a usual consultant working in our customer services team.
You're supposed to say yes. You're supposed to say you're the top manager.
But basically, if we're talking in regards to AR and IoT things at ePlan, yes, I'm the manager of all that revolves around those topics, at least in ePlan.
And you've been with ePlan since February of 2020. So
yeah,
for
right.
About 2.5 years now. And you came from the auto industry. And whenever I first talked to you, you said, well, I'm an IT guy that really loves AR.
Yeah, my background was in the automotive industry. I worked there for a first level supplier as an IT specialist, and then ePlan came to me and just told me, hey, you want to work in AR, you want to work on IoT topics? And I said, of course, yes, would be a pleasure for me. So that's why I joined ePlan 2 years back.
And we also have Dallas Garst with us. He's a territory manager for the Southeast. He's been with ePlan since May this year, so for a few months now. Before he was with Rockwell for 7 years. So welcome, Dallas. This is your first webcast with us, and you
first one, man.
Right,
I am excited. I am pumped. So
this is going to be a great one because Simon really kind of takes things away from us. Because he's the absolute expert, and we look at stuff and it's like we're wowed by what he's going to show us. We got a chance to check some of it out just a couple days ago, but let's kind of lead into this. AR and what it means to ePlan. Simon, I'm going to hand it over to you to kind of tell us what your role is and what we've been working on, what you've been working on rather.
Yeah, sure. For this, I'm going to switch from the camera view and jump into a presentation that I've prepared in the last couple of months to basically a bit explain of what we are doing. So the topic of today is eVIEW AR. And of course, most of the people of you might already know the topic of what is augmented reality. It popped up basically just a couple of years ago when there was this big hype just around Pokemon Go. And basically this one is AR. So in augmented reality, you enhance the reality with some digital pictures, just like when you see those little monsters and you can catch them with the ball. And after Pokemon Go, some of the companies already started to think about, okay, how can we use this technology? How can we use our smartphones to give our customers a better way of understanding our products, or another way of looking at our products? And basically the first ideas that popped up were by warehouses where you buy your furniture, to be able to place down your furniture like you see in the second picture already into your room in the color you want to buy it, just to have a look at before you even buy the product of what it will be looking like. Also, right after that, industry of cosmetics also started applying that, where you then can try out some kind of lipstick or some kind of makeup directly over your smartphone with your FaceTime camera, and apply the lipstick just to have a look at what it might be looking like before you even go through the buying process. And after all those crazy topics came up, we already thought about, okay, we as ePlan offer our customers the 3D model to generate their own 3D model and basically we have this data, 3D data, lying around already in the engineering process. And also after that, it's just laying there, and it's basically used for building the cabinet, but the customer doesn't have any use for it. Couldn't we use this technology that they have here also as ePlan and just give it to our customers? And we had a look into it, and what we came up with was eVIEW Free AR. It's a free application that's usable for each and every Pro Panel customer, totally for free. The only prerequisites for this are basically that you have EPLAN Pro Panel to generate some 3D data you can use as an AR, and that you uploaded the data into our cloud platform so that we can make it accessible over the AR technology.
Hey, Simon, real quick, can you share your screen again?
So did it stop? Sorry about that.
Yeah, the presentation mode had to be shared on your side. So if you'll do that one more time.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen again, and hopefully you should be able to see everything.
Yes, we got it now. Yes.
Okay. I think it ended due to the poll, maybe.
Yes. Sorry.
But yeah, we should be fine now. So what we came up with was eVIEW Free AR. And what it does is it lets you use the same technology as we just saw in Pokemon Go. And it enables you to place your Pro Panel data directly into a room. So you can directly place it anywhere on your table or even in the designated factory space to have a look at what the cabinet at its designated place will be looking like. This at first looks like it's just a playing tool, but we also found some purposes behind it. The first thing is that you can give, as a panel builder, you can give your customer and the machine builder already an insight whilst the engineering is still ongoing into the 3D cabinet. So this really helps understanding what you're selling or buying in this whole process and in the whole communication. Especially one thing I realized, and it really a customer came to me with this issue, is if you're thinking about, okay, the customer orders, in this case, a retail cabinet, of course, since we're at ePlan, and this is a VX25, and they just looked up the outer dimensions of the cabinet. However, there's an AC attached to the left side of the cabinet in some cases, since this cabinet needs cooling. And in one process, we had a really good story, since the customer came back and said, okay, my provider of the cabinet already has sent me the AR data, and I was able to place down the cabinet, and I realized, okay, there's an AC on the left side, but I planned to put the cabinet on the left side next to a wall, and this wouldn't have worked. So they came back with a feedback in a redlining, which I'm going to show to you in just a couple of minutes, where they were able to transfer the AC from a left side mounted AC to a top side mounted AC, and they didn't have to go through the whole process of resending the whole cabinet, since of course there's a big cutout if there's an AC attached to on the left side on the whole side of the cabinet. So a lot of money was just saved due to the better communication that's enabled through eVIEW AR. I'm going to give you some insights now to eVIEW AR and shortly jump into a live demo. So with eVIEW AR is basically the way that you can share your Pro Panel data. It's not only that we have now the possibility to share 2D data and a basic 3D model over our ePLAN eVIEW platform, but with eVIEW AR, you can also share the 3D data in Pro Panel in a new way. This is an interactive 3D model. So what it does is it lets you interact, select components, hide components, and all the stuff that wasn't previously not able in our whole eVIEW technology. Of course, everything that we learned from the AR technology will also be reintroduced into the eVIEW 3D viewer in just the future. So what we learned from AR, we also will apply to our whole cloud platform in just a couple of months. What do you need to do to use eVIEW AR? As I said, we already have this 3D data available, so the steps of setting up eVIEW AR is quite simple. All you need to do is install one add-on into your Pro Panel, which also in the near future won't be needed anymore, since we'll include it into the whole cloud backbone. But currently, and at least for the next months, it will be needed, the first step. After that, you simply upload the project like you do with your current cloud plugin, and then you grant access rights to everybody that should see the project. Of course, we are working in our whole cloud platform with the whole user management, from EPLAN behind it. So nobody that's not allowed to see your data will see your data in the end. And you have your full access to the whole user management to ensure that only people with the access should see the data. And that's the whole setup. Quite simple, 3 steps. I'm just gonna quickly skip over the steps that why you should use eVIEW AR, since I talked a lot about this previously. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just directly gonna jump into the live demo of what I did, just to give you some better insights. What I did to start the live demo is I opened here my Pro Panel. You should be able to see it now. And here I have my project. It's a project we have currently in this building phase, also at the University of Aachen. So it's a real cabinet right here. And here I have my Pro Panel data. What I do is I open my AR Services add-on and simply select the project in the page navigator. Here you can see I'm already logged into my ePulse organization. I have here my user, all my organizations. If need be, I can also switch my organization right here. And what I want to do, if I want to upload the project, I just select the project in Page Navigator, so right here. And then I'm going to say plus, and this opens a context menu where I can choose where to upload the project in the cloud context. I can put a comment and click OK. Of course, in preparation to our meeting, I already did that for today. It takes 2 or 3 minutes, so I'm quickly going to skip over that part. But just so you know, it takes 2 or 3 minutes to generate the whole model, then upload it. And due to it being a 3D model, it might take up to 5 to 10 minutes. But in this case, already the project is here. What I'm greeted with after the project has been uploaded is here a project overview. This is quite similar to the view you know already from eVIEW, where you open your 2D schematics. And I also have this available right here. If I would open my cloud plugin, I could go into eVIEW, go into my redlining, streamlinings, and into the schematics in the eVIEW viewer. So here I have now 2 options, at least when I'm on the cabinet. The first one is free AR, so the topic that we just talked about. Yeah. Already I can see here preview of the layout space that I've just uploaded. And I can, of course, hide the front door and interact with this one. And what I see here is a QR code. This QR code basically is just a link, and it's accessible also for download via this button here on the top side, so on the free AR button. Since it's a link, I can also say I'm going to copy the link. It is posted into my clipboard, and now if I would like to share to a colleague of mine, I could either send him the QR code as a picture, or I could send him via email, what I'm going to do right now, just with an email to myself. Via Outlook, I can share the link as well as the QR code. So I could go into my emails, say new email to myself, and you see if I press Control V right now, it posts the link that is directly connected to this very project. What does this help me? So this link I can access directly via my tablet. I'm going to switch now for you to the view of my tablet, since I want to share to you now how I can use eVIEW AR on a handheld device.
Can I ask you a quick question? Whenever someone clicks on that, what capabilities do they have? Just viewing?
Yeah, it's just viewing. And also, of course, you'll need the access rights in eVIEW and to authenticate yourself with your login of the eVIEW page itself.
Okay.
And now, Simon, how we display this AR, is that tablet only? Do we have wearables that we can use? What's our limitations there, if any?
So for AR, currently we are focusing on handheld devices. And for this, I have a page that you can, I will refer to in the presentation, where you can find all the prerequisites on the tablet. So of course you can't use it with a like 15-euro tablet, but most of actual tablets, mobile phones, and handheld devices currently can access the app that we will be using in a moment.
I just changed the presentation mode over to the tablet, so I'm thinking that that's how you have to have it in order to show something. Is that correct?
Okay. So I'll have to reshare my screen if I
Yes.
do it correctly. Okay. So I'm gonna share again.
It's the limitation. It's the limitations of WebEx.
Yeah, no issue at all. So you are able to see my tablet screen right now?
Yes. Where it says screen broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct. So basically what we are limited to in regards to devices, of course, we prefer to use a tablet. Since you're gonna see in just a minute, you'll need a little bit of screen to see everything. Since we're displaying schematics, and on smaller smartphones, it can be getting quite finicky. So we prefer to use a tablet, but it's possible to access the data over every device that is capable of Windows, Android, or iOS. For Windows, of course, you have the limitation that your PC needs to have a camera that you can point at some place. So a normal desktop PC won't work with AR, since, of course, for augmented reality, we need the reality part to have a camera view and stuff like that.
Hey, Simon, are you showing? Okay, there you go.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that.
Yeah. I just wanted to finish my point before showing you the app I'm jumping into. So the app that we are using for AR is called eVIEW, and it's developed by our gold partner, PTC. Just as a remark for everybody in the presentation, PTC is not involved with any of the data inside of the application. They are just helping us with the development or with the usage of eVIEW, of eVIEW, to be able to access all those tablets. And also, the page of the prerequisites of using eVIEW is the one I refer to whenever it's about what kind of devices can be used for eVIEW AR. What you already saw is I moved my camera just slightly over my screen, and the QR code that I had in my Pro Panel was recognized directly by my tablet. This QR code now redirected me into our eVIEW free AR application, and I'm greeted with, please sign in first. As I said, we have our ePulse authentication behind it, so I wouldn't be able to access any data if I wouldn't be allowed to see the data just by walking through a cabinet and scanning a random QR code that's anywhere. So first, I need to now authenticate myself with a sign-in. Here, I'm going to use my my ePulse credentials, and through that, I'm going to log in and tell the system, okay, I'm allowed to see the data and whatever is attached to the project. Of course, you can see or will see that if I would restrict the access rights in my own organization, I'd also only be able to see whatever my access is restricted to. So if I wouldn't be able to set a redlining, or I would be restricted to just see certain projects, I'd only see those. After I now click the sign in button, you'll see eVIEW AR now fully loads up after I've authenticated myself. Now it tells me to point my camera at a horizontal surface to be able to place down the cabinet. I'm going to put that right here in front of my big cabinet that is in the background. And what you can see is right now in my room, I have the real size cabinet that I just had as a Pro Panel project now placed in my room. Of course, I can more or less walk around it. And also, since it's AR and there's no collision with digital things, I can walk inside of the cabinet and view details on the components and stuff like that. In case I don't like the size of the cabinet or the positioning, now with just the move of one finger, I can reposition the cabinet to the exact position I want to have it. So let's say now I want to align it with this door on the background. I can simply drag it there with just one finger. And let's say now I want to place it sideways. With two fingers, I can rotate the cabinet. I'm going to switch it now back to the original position that I put it in with the rectangle button on the top right. Not the lockout button, but the one below test Ebert. This snaps back the cabinet to its original size. As you can see, the cabinet is a little higher than me. Since I'm about, I think it's about 6 feet is my height, and the cabinet has a size of 2 meters. As you can see, German doors are also around the size of 2 meters, and the cabinet has been placed in the exact real size. This is due to the application recognizing the size of the room that I'm in and being able, from the Pro Panel data, to nearly place down the cabinet in the real size. This will always be done whenever I place down a cabinet. But let's say now I want to have a meeting and I want to have a look at the whole cabinet without moving 5 or 6 feet backwards. What I can do is I can enable the ruler button on the top right corner. And you see now it's highlighted in blue. This enables me to use the function that we all know from mobile devices to just use 2 fingers and resize the cabinet right now. So now you can see I resized it to a smaller size so that I can properly now see the whole cabinet and work with it. After deactivating this function, I now say, let's say I want to access all the insides of the component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch into hiding mode. For this, I'm going to use the eye with the dash through button and going to activate the function. Now, by just clicking the front door one time, it's hidden. And you can see again, I have access to all the components without the need to walk inside of the cabinet. Here, I now have some additional options. If I want to find out what a component's name is, so I want to find out the main function of the function of the component, I can simply select it and it will be highlighted in red. The rest of the model will go into transparent mode. And you see now on the top right side, the 2 arrow buttons enabled. When I pop it out, I can see all the information about the device that I just selected. I can see at first the device tag, which is my motor protection switch in this case, and I can see a part number. Since this is data that came from our Pro Panel, and Pro Panel is connected to the EDP, I can also, just by one click on the EDP button, now pop out on the left side all the information directly from the EPLAN data portal with the ability to download all the data sheets and everything and find the information about this very component. Also, since we're working with the EPLAN platform, if I now jump back, I can also click on the eVIEW button you might recognize. If I do that, I'm redirected into my schematics that are inside of my eVIEW directly to the page where the main function of this very component is located. So you can see I've been directed directly to page 42 of 57, where the main function of the component is located on. Here I can say now I want to find out how this component is connected and jump to any other component. Of course, if we are not thinking about my AC example, I could also select the component and say, okay, this is now an AC, or this component I don't like. So I can place down a redlining via a rectangle and say, okay, I want to also attach a picture why I don't like it and insert a text, for example, to give feedback to the engineer. This way, the engineer will then be notified in his EPLAN project, just like with the normal redlining of the normal eVIEW, since it's the very same function. So this redlining right now is also visible on my Pro Panel as well as in my eVIEW on my desktop PC. This is the first iteration of eVIEW AR, and I'm just going to jump back to my computer right now and stop the presentation from my tablet to also show you the second iteration that we've just developed and that is currently in the beta phases and will come within the next year, most probably.
Now, Simon, while you're switching over, you got my wheels spinning as you started showing everything. And I'm thinking use cases. If I am a switchgear manufacturer using Pro Panel, can my customer lay down multiple panels in one room at a single time to view how that room would look before any manufacturing is actually done?
Yes and no. Of course, he can place down multiple building spaces, but they need to be inside of one Pro Panel project and inside of one building space in Pro Panel. So whenever we are working a Pro Panel context, and I'm going to restart my screen sharing from my desktop just as a remark. I'm good to go for that?
Yes, you should be good. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen now. So whenever I'm, whatever I'm able to place down needs to be inside of one building space here in a Pro Panel. And I can lay down whatever is in one building space in this case. Currently, we do not have the possibility to display multiple building spaces next to each other, since each and every one has to be displayed on its own. And it needs to be able to access the data. So now that we have that, you already saw that here I have a second button. It's called AR maintenance. Of course, we thought about not only using this data in an engineering process, but also this data, as we just saw, might be very handy in a maintenance process. So what I can do via this button is I can download a different QR code. If I click here on download, I'm going to get a context menu. And this asks me where I want to save down the QR code. You can already see it's a PDF document. And I'm going to show this document to you in just 1 second. Let me switch to my desktop and to the data set that I just created. So it's that one right here. And this is how the QR code looks like. This is an A4 page. What can I do with that? This QR code is intended to be placed on the front door of the cabinet itself. So I'm going to print this out. Whenever I print this out, I can place it on my cabinet. And this way, I can overlay the AR data with the real cabinet itself. Of course, unfortunately, since I'm stuck in home office and it's already quite late in Germany, I'm not in the office space anymore, and I don't have a real cabinet yet available at my home space. However, for the upcoming presentation, just let's imagine that my computer is a cabinet and I want to align the top bottom left corner of my screen with the bottom left corner of the cabinet itself. Just for demonstration purposes, but it works in the same way with a real cabinet itself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump back from this screen here to my tablet presentation, just to give you an overview about what I'm going to see now on my cabinet itself. So 1 second. I need to switch to the tablet. It takes a while for me.
Let me ask you a question while you're doing that. Whenever you were showing how you could leave comments earlier, those comments that you leave, the person that has that QR code that opens that link up and looks into that, anyone can leave a comment, or again, for that, is it just someone that is on the team?
It's just people that are on the team and have access to the data. So everything I do in this context is linked to my ePulse user. So whatever I'm doing, of course, you'll see the comment was left by me, and it was left at this time and in this context. So whatever I do inside of the application, everything is linked to my ePulse user, and everything can also be traced back to this very user.
Yeah, I think security is a big question for a lot of what we do. So if anyone has access to it and they could, then I think that would be something that we probably wouldn't want. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
Yeah, of course. So the access is always directly via the ePLAN platform or the ePLAN cloud. So whenever somebody has access, it has to be said he has access. He has to have a certain password length. He has to have all the authentications inside of the cloud, inside of this very organization. And there's a really complex user management behind it, where you can nearly control access to everything on different levels.
If you have any questions, by the way, for Simon or even Dallas, then you can leave those in the chat, or if you'd like to, you can raise your hand and we'll get to those questions. We'd love to have any interaction that you want to have. This is what we do Open Line Fridays for, is to answer these questions.
Yeah.
And Simon and Dallas are good with that, answering those. I just know marketing, so you probably don't have any questions for me.
And Josh, I think we talked, I was only allowed to be softballs thrown to me questions. So let's make sure we make them easy for Dallas.
So what I'm going to do right now is, you can see I'm in my Vuforia View application right now again, and I'm going to point my rectangle here over the QR code. You can see it works quite quickly, that it redirects me into the application. And since I said just a moment ago to let me or keep me signed in, what it does, it is already logging me into my application directly without the need for a second authentication. And I'm again in the same context of the very same project we've just had. You can see my laptop screen had been tilted when I read the QR code. So the cabinet itself was tilted. What I'm just doing right now is I'm going to place it down vertically so that you can see everything really better. So you see now, if my tablet would be the cabinet itself, it would be overlaid on top. Let me hide the front door again real quick so that we have a better view of what is going on. And now let's imagine that the bottom left corner of my cabinet itself would be the screen of my laptop. Of course, since I just printed out the QR code itself and have placed it on somewhere on the door of the cabinet, I now need to align the QR code, since I've just printed it out and my application doesn't know automatically where exactly the QR code is. For this, with AR maintenance, I have a function right here on the top right side again, where most of the functions are located, with this rectangle with the 3 dots in it. What that does is it enables me to choose the location of the QR code on the cabinet. So you can see I will freeze my screen now through the lock button, by the way. What it enables me to do is it enables me to choose the size of the sticker, since of course it's an A4 page, but in some cases there might be a border on the paper and stuff like that, so that you can directly align the real size of the cabinet exactly to the size of your cabinet, and we have a little bit of wiggle room how big the A4 page was printed. Additionally, I can move the cabinet here to the left and to the right, and this way align the cabinet directly with the left border now of my PC screen. I'm going to need to do it a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to align it to the left side of my screen. Now also I can say, okay, my cabinet is a little bit lower, and let's say it's now a little bit more forward. And this way I would now align the QR code with the real cabinet behind it. Of course, I wouldn't see my laptop screen then right there, but the real cabinet, since everything is transparent and I'd be standing in front of a real cabinet right now. And now let's say I've printed it out, the sticker is placed on the cabinet. Of course, I don't want to go through this finicky process of aligning the cabinet with my AR model each and every time. That's why there is a save button on the top right. When I click that one, in this case, I'm not going to do it since it's a real cabinet at a real factory space that I just fiddled with, is it saves the position of the QR code itself inside of our cloud platform. So whenever somebody is now accessing the cabinet itself, it will be placed at the very same position based on the position of the QR code. So whenever I go to the QR code now and I scan it, the cabinet will be on front of the real cabinet itself. Additionally, with eVIEW AR maintenance, I have some additional functions. So what we already saw is I can here jump into my 2D schematics and say, now here I want to find something out, and I can place down a red line. Whenever I'm using eVIEW AR maintenance, what I can also do is, let's jump to a different page since I know from which component I came. And I want to now locate, for example, my KF2. and I want to locate this one since I have a maintenance case and I realized, okay, no currency is coming to my motor protection switch, and I want to locate this very component. What I can do is I can select the component itself, and whenever I have AR maintenance enabled, I can click on more and say open an AR. What this does, it highlights me the component directly in my 3D spacing, the other way around. This way now I can locate this component, say, okay, here the problem is not here. So I'm going to jump back into my 2D schematics and say, okay, this also is not receiving any currency in my example. So I'm going to locate, for example, now the, let's say the power supply. And I want to locate that one. And of course, again, I can click on more, say open an AR, and the power supply of this component that I just came to through my connections right here is highlighted in red for me. This way, I have a really easy way to do maintenance processes with the help of AR. This way, I can really easily locate components inside the cabinet. And also, if EPOLS or EDP information is available, of course, again, I can pop out my EDP information then on the right side. For this, I just need to switch to a component that is actually in EDP, of course. So for this one, for example, I now be able to see all my data sets and be able to download the page and see what replacement part can I use, or what are the accessories on the part that are able to be used to repair the component itself.
And Simon, I believe you mentioned too that there's futuristic talks of our customers using routing in production that we may be able to highlight the entire circuit down the road. Is that true? Did I hear that correct yesterday?
Yeah, that's correct. So in the current AR model, and that's the issue with the presentation I have possible right now, there's two basic issues. The first one, and I'm just gonna mitigate that by showing you some pictures of what it looks like in a production space.
You want me to change your presentation mode to the other one?
Yeah, please change back to my computer.
Okay.
So that I can share what it will be looking like on a computer itself, on a project itself, on a real cabinet. So if I now jump back into presenter mode, just to be able to show you some real screenshots of it, how it really looks like, you should be able to see it right now. So here I have it based on a real cabinet, and you can clearly see I have this component selected in the AR picture, but behind it you can also see the real component. And this is basically what it leads to if it wasn't here, my laptop that I would have used as a compartment. But sorry again for that, I'm a little bit limited in my home office and don't have any cabinets available, unfortunately, in my
Are they going to send you? Are they going to send you a cabinet? Seriously?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, I'm gonna get a retail panel in the near future into my home office space to be able to also present in the evenings some things and to some customers, especially since we're really limited on working in the German space right here. And whenever I want to present to you guys in the US, of course, I need to be able to do it from home as well, since I think our office closes at 7 in the evening. So yeah. This way, I'm also able to show stuff like this then in the evening. So again, here's some pictures for you, what it looks like when I'm aligning the cabinet. And for the whole picture, you can see here, I've overlaid it on top of the rear cabinet. And this basically also, as a remark, is the cabinet that we just saw in my presentation. So there is a real counterpart of this very cabinet that we just had a look at. And it's located at the University of Aachen in Germany, where we more or less started developing this whole technology. The second thing I'm going to quickly share to you is the thing that Dallas just asked. So I only have this available as a mock-up, but whenever I'm here in my development environment, we have a newer 3D model that also includes the stuff, a couple of things that I already told to you. course, just let me use this project. Of course, we have here the 3D viewer that I just teasered to you, also in our ePulse. So in the eVIEW, in the EPLAN Cloud, now I had word finding issues, I'll have access in the near future to the new 3D viewer where you can see the components are quite more detailed, and I will have all the availabilities of hiding components here in my EPLAN Cloud 3D viewer as well. Additionally, what you already might recognize is we will exchange the 3D model within the near future to a new model that also includes all the wires that have been wired through the cabinet itself. And whenever I'm going through the wires, of course, this one is a good example, you can see also the routing of the wire itself. So you can see here, it goes into my conveyor, and here on the top side, it goes out. And I'll be able, in the near future, to also select wires and wiring and all the little things here inside of my 3D model. These wires then will also be, of course, visible in the AR project. And the only reason why it's not there yet is that we are fine-tuning really this functionality, since back in the days, of course, now it works quite good. That's why I'm able to show it. But we have massive issues with being able to select the wires, especially if there's really thin wires or really thick wires, since they were just blocking everything. But now that we figured out a way of working with it, we are able to shortly release this function in the near future, and to be able to give you also access to the new 3D model that will be inside of the eVIEW cloud. And
That's amazing. I for someone who gets to work with pretty things and designing for marketing, I mean, this gives me something really to work with in the future. And it's time for me to get my hands on one of these too. I know that you're getting a cabinet. I feel like I should get one and maybe make a top hat for it, like the TARDIS, because that's what I modeled this whole thing around. And I also didn't think about, some people might not have watched Doctor Who growing up and don't know what the TARDIS is. It's the phone booth from Doctor Who. So that may be a little bit out of the realm of your age, Simon.
Yeah. For me, it's a little too old, but I still do not know it for a fact. But yeah, of course, some of our listeners today might think, okay, I want to hands-on try this out for myself. We have this one available in our ePulse community. So whoever has access to our eVIEW cloud or EPLAN cloud, you might recognize that every user in the EPLAN cloud is enlisted. If I jump back into the real cloud, just give me one moment. Here is my real ePulse. Here I have my eVIEW, but everybody of you might recognize that there is this organization which is called EPLAN Community. This is an organization basically everybody is enlisted in, and it's a demo organization where you can have a demo of eVIEW itself, and where you can view our ESS sample project. It's a project consisting of 7 layout spaces that you can simply have a look at and basically use as a baseline of what a EPLAN project should look like. Those two projects, the one with the German standards and also the one with the NFPA standards, are also available as AR models. And what you need to do is you just need to create an ePulse account or EPLAN Cloud account, and then you need to access the ePulse community. From there, you also need to install the application Vuforia View on your mobile device. So as I said, it's, oh, one second, I need to go back to the correct slide. Click the wrong button there. As I said, you can download the application for free, and I included here the links from the Apple's App Store and the Google Play Store. And whenever you're on Microsoft, you can just type in your store. I'm going to show that live, and you see I already have the application on my computer. Store. You can just type in the name of the application before eVIEW and you'll find to download here if you're using, for example, a Surface, which is a handheld Windows device. And this way, you can then scan the QR code of the ePods community and access and try the eVIEW AR free, hands-on yourself.
Dallas, you got any questions? I know that you were talking about having a few questions earlier.
Yeah, so I just wanted to reiterate, we kind of showed it, but didn't touch on it too much, is we have digitalized the schematics in the panel and put it into a QR code. So for the US, I know probably, I'd say 100% of everybody has a stack of papers sitting in the bottom of their panel right now. Once something's changed within that panel, I can almost guarantee that it's not changed on the drawing. So to be able to make these red lines in real time while you're viewing the schematics, for me, is a huge thing. I don't want to take too much of Kruno's time, because I know he'll be talking more about this in December. So I would say definitely tune in for his discussion around the ePOCKET and the eBuild, because they're definitely very cool ways to keep up with our schematics and everything, and make sure we're looking at 100% accurate set of drawings every time we're troubleshooting.
Yeah, and if you're already teasing it, I think I can have a couple of words about our ePOCKET. Whenever you have a retail cabinet, of course, we have this whole process right now of generating the QR code and placing it down on the cabinet. Within the future, we have something called ePOCKET. So whenever you're buying a retail cabinet, the QR code will be placed already on the cabinet itself. And this way, we want to also get rid of this whole folder that is usually placed inside of the cabinet. So with the ePOCKET, you do not have not only the availability to digitalize your eVIEW data, or the ZW1 as we call it as a data format, but also all the supporting documents in an organized way, and you will have access through a QR code.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think that's huge. And I don't know if we're talking about it enough, but I think we need to start showing the people, because being able to put all your machine documentation in a centralized spot right there at the machine is a huge for me.
Yeah. Especially since you get rid of the exact problems that you've just mentioned, with the documentation is missing a couple of parts, or if you're talking about fluid cabinets, of course, sometimes it's smeared up with oil, or somebody at least took it home. And through the ePLAN cloud, to be honest, everything is collected, protected. Sorry.
Yeah.
Getting a little tongue twisters right now. It's getting late in Germany. But everything is protected for you in a smart way, and through the ePLAN cloud, everybody can get access just like you want him to have him to. And then again, if everything is on the ePLAN cloud, you can use also AR to enhance your maintenance process and to enhance your engineering process again. So it's a whole loop of different products and applications at ePLAN that we are currently talking about, and just connecting all this together is a great idea to fully digitalize your whole workflow.
Yes, very exciting stuff.
Dallas, you have any other questions at this point?
Just one other thing, I guess, touching back onto being able to send that 3D AR to our customers before manufacturing's done for edits and changes. I think that's huge, especially for a vertically challenged human being as myself. I noticed that the PLC was placed at the top, and I would definitely ask Simon to put that a little lower so I wouldn't have to get on a step stool to reach it. So I think that's cool, just to be able to send stuff, to see it in real time, and to make those minor changes as a customer. That just adds a whole lot of value to our ePLAN users.
Yeah, it was one of the steps that we came from, especially since whenever I was at Aachen University, where we started to develop this product, it was like, okay, I'm not an electrical engineer. And to be honest, for myself, 2 years back when I joined ePLAN, I had no clue about what I was seeing there. It was just lines and dots for me. And for me, a 3D model, since I was coming from the MCAD side of things, or mechanical CAD, for me, the 3D model was way more understandable. And basically that is why we got into it, since for the customer and the machine operator, the 3D is the interesting part. With the schematics, the operator, he can't really use that. And of course, you'll see that there is a retail cabinet, and that's exactly what we talked about. He will see the outer dimensions. Maybe he will look up how big is the cabinet that I just ordered, but he'll have no clue exactly that there's an AC attached to it, or some additional parts like the buttons in the front, or even on the right side, left side, bottom side, that there's lighting inside of the cabinet. And for the operator, it's a really understandable picture that you're now able to provide to him, just to be able to say, hey, you want to look what you just bought? Just here you go. You have the QR code, you have the link, click on it and just place it down, have a look at it. And whenever you have feedback for one part of the cabinet that you don't like, just click on it and you'll be redirected into the eView, into this 2D schematics that you, as my customer, do not need to understand, but you can give me the feedback at the exact point where I need the feedback.
Yeah, I think this topic is an amazing one, and thanks, Simon, for helping out with this, because for me, as someone who doesn't work as I'm not as much in the business side, just on the marketing side. A couple of years ago, I went to a friend's house and he said, "Do you see everything around my living room right now?" And I said, "Yeah, it's been the same way for years." And he said, "Well, put these on." And so I put these goggles on and started looking around inside his house, and there were different things that he had planted inside his house that you touch it and it would make movement, or it was like the beginning of some very simplistic AR that he had in his living room. And he said, just walk around the house, and I've put different things in this different universe that he's created, which is so cool. And then Pokemon Go, of course, you mentioned that a few years ago. It's kind of changed the way we think, and the future is actually here for us. It's here for ePLAN, and you working on this consistently and making it better and better is definitely something that is very appealing to not only us that work for ePLAN, but our clients love it. And
yeah,
this is going to be something that's going to be adopted very quickly.
And as you just said, he let you put on some glasses, and you give 1 point. I'm just going to tease it to our clients at this point. We are also thinking about developing this for the use of HoloLens and smart glasses. So we're on it right now at ePLAN, but I can't show that to you yet, since we're quite in early steps of adapting this technology right now. But we're testing on it. We're thinking about, okay, how do our customers have smart glasses? Let us know if you have the need. We can work further on those topics as well. And we have been able to digitalize the whole process of building up a cabinet through smart glasses, with placing down the components and even helping while wiring the components. Also already as some preliminary products, but we are not in the phases where we can show this right now. But as a teaser, I think I can tell you this, that we're also working on the usage of smart glasses.
Which is amazing whenever you have your hands free to dig in. Wow.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty incredible. Hey, Simon, thanks so much for staying up late in Germany and coming on with us here in the States. This was fantastic. Thanks, Dallas, for having questions and being able to interact with this whenever you know that, again, the marketing guy doesn't know all the answers. So, thanks again, and thanks for joining us today on our Open Line Friday. We appreciate it. Simon, go enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank you. You
Thanks,
as well.
everyone.
Enjoy the day and have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you.